Hello again people, welcome back. For the Quest of the Lost King series, McFarlane created different dragon clans, each with its own special characteristics. And today, we'll be looking at the Series 1 Water Dragon. Here he is in package, and I definitely like what I see. At the back, we have the usual. Here we have the other dragons, and here's what it says for the Water Clan. Habitat, oceans, rivers and lakes. Intuitive and empathetic, great swimmers, unpredictable as the oceans and seas themselves. Here's a look at the concept art, and there seems to be translucence about him, which I was expecting to be lost on the production figures. But as you can see, it actually has been carried through on actual figure, and I'm delighted about it. Just a small tip, haha, but here's a small tip. There is a warping of the nose horn from pressure against the clamshell. So that's something to look out for if you purchase him, particularly from resellers who would have stored him God knows how long and in what position. So let's not waste time and get him open. Here's the Water Dragon out of package, and it comes in three main pieces. First, you've got the base. You also have the dragon, which consists of a main body and the tail. What I'm going to do is review the base first and then the dragon. The reason being, I tried attaching the two together and it was really difficult to do. So I thought I'd review them separately, put them together, review them, and then not have to remove it again just to show you the base. So here's the base, and I really like it. It's really exquisite. The details really good. You can see the pieces of kelp, the seaweed, just different types of vegetation. You see pieces of coral, pieces of coral, and you see barnacles on some of the various structures. So that's a really nice base that goes very well with the dragon. Now onto the dragon itself. Once again, the details just amazes me. If you look at the sculpt, I don't even know where to start. Let's start with the scales. Now I'm amazed by how the scales are sculpted. Now it'd be so easy to just have one type of scale and replicate it throughout the body, but no, what they have done is have different sizes and even types of scales which vary according to the regions of the body. The way they follow the skin folds, like look at the muscle in this area, the way the muscle forms up as it gets into this extreme posture. Well, the scales follow it. Here you see a line of muscle here, a different section here, and the way the scales are sculpted just fits. It just looks real. It just gives belief to the idea of this as a living, breathing animal. And for me, this adds to the nature study piece, the nature study feel of this piece. The translucence as well is really a huge bonus. And when it was in package, I thought that only these areas, the wings and the fins, were translucent. But if you look, you'll see that there's actually a fade from translucence into the color. And that's the same with, see, the feet are translucent, and the bottom half of the tail. So this looks almost like it could have chameleon-like ability, or perhaps the color shifting properties that some squids have. I think they call it chromatospores. And wow, I recently read that the base model for most of these dragons is actually clear plastic, and the painters then lay the paint on top of that mold, which makes this perhaps a bit more easily achieved but no less astounding. So once again, you just really have to look at these up close to really appreciate the detail. They seem to have even done some nature study of fins of various living sea creatures in order to replicate something that looks real. So what I'm going to do is try to attach this on the base one more time and then continue with my review from there. Finally, the rock has come back to where it belongs, right under this dragon. Can you smell what the rock is holding? Well, okay, that impression really sucked. But I can tell you one thing, I really did smell him. I've got to mention that this dragon has probably been in its box for too long. And the first thing that hit me when I opened the package was an overwhelming smell of plastic. Well, that's gone now, and the dragon's back where it belongs. And I just have to warn those of you who are getting him new of 3 points when affixing him to the base. The first are these pieces of kelp, which are of a rubbery material, and depending on where you grasp them as you try to get the dragon in, there's a danger of actually breaking them off. The second is the pegs that go into the holes on the base. Well, with time they've actually become warped out of shape, so it was pretty hard to get them in. And finally, the dragon itself. If you look at pieces like that, fins, and then you've got quite delicate points like that, and especially around the head, you've got to be really careful about not breaking them off as you put it on. So here's the dragon, and I must say I love it. There's something incredible about this pose. It's really enchanting. I like the naturalistic poses as opposed to, repeated permutations of rearing dragons with jaws wide open and wings outspread. When I first saw pictures of him, I assumed he was taking a drink at a water hole. After all, lions will use the same water holes where zebras and giraffes go to drink, and I like seeing this relatively peaceful activity depicted in a dragon, which you don't see too often. But of course, the pieces of kelp put paid to that idea. He's obviously underwater. And secondly, upon close examination, I realized the very posture hinted at a very different story. This guy is crouched, alert, coiled, ready for action. And even to the extent of, if you look at the tail, you can imagine the tail swishing, twitching, just as he's about to pounce. And this really reminds me of my own cat. What she does before she's about to get up to no good. And indeed, if you look at maybe it's just imagination, if you look at the visage of this dragon, whatever he's doing, it's nothing peaceful. He's obviously up to no good. So I really like it. It's just really some of the features like these fins again, look like they look like the fins of seahorses. And if you look at this tail, it's not the generic rounded tail you find on other dragons. It's actually flattened. And together with these fins suggests that it could be very useful for swimming. I would have expected to see webbed hands. There are none. And I suppose we can imagine that this creature, in this creature, the need for prehension and greater articulation superseded that physiological advantage. But all in all, he's really just an amazing figure. And surprisingly enough, I think he's actually going to be my favorite dragon of all those I've opened thus far. I mean, certainly I would say he's my favorite out of those I've reviewed so far. And oh, he just reminds me of my cat actually. No, look at how that thumb is gripping that base, ready to push off. Might be hunting hunting some unsuspecting animal. So, well, all in all, I love this figure. It's beautifully sculpted, highly detailed, the paintwork. There's enough variety in the structures of this dragon that makes it interesting, and I highly recommend him. The smell's gone too. So, what was 8/10? I might give 9/10 now. Just a beautiful figure, all in all.